Anastasia Steele finally found peace. She accepted Damian Sterling's mother's arrangements to go abroad, leaving behind the signed divorce papers without a backward glance as she boarded the plane to her new life. Turning back, she thought to call out to the woman as mom, but something stopped her, and she respectfully addressed her as aunt instead. Hearing this, the mother sighed but said nothing, simply handing over all the necessary documents for going abroad. Everything for her departure had been arranged. The school started soon, so the ticket was booked for a flight leaving in 3 hours. Was there anything else needed? Anastasia looked at the files in her hand, feeling a heavy weight lift from her heart. The thought of long-awaited freedom and a fresh start made her hands tremble with excitement. She took a deep breath, suppressing the thrill, tucked the documents into her bag, and shook her head. "Thanks so much, Aunt." She was already deeply grateful for all this help. Pausing, as if remembering something, she softly added a small request: if Damien ever found out everything and asked about her whereabouts, please say nothing. She and Damien should never meet again in this lifetime. The mother looked shocked, asking if Anastasia hadn't told him about leaving. What was there to say? That his approach years ago was deliberate? That these 5 years of insane kindness weren't love, but just repayment of a debt? Following his parents' orders to help him forget his ex, Lily Corrigan, and move on from that failed relationship? Or that she was divorcing him to go abroad and never return? Saying it wouldn't change anything. His white moonlight had returned. He'd probably be indifferent to her departure anyway. Anastasia smiled faintly. No need for that. She just wanted to leave quickly, without more drama. But then a deep male voice suddenly echoed from behind them. "What, leaving?" Anastasia turned and locked eyes with Damien's profound gaze. Her heart skipped a beat. She opened her mouth to explain but wasn't sure if he'd heard, or how much. Fortunately, the mother quickly smoothed things over, saying it was nothing and asking why he'd come over. Damien didn't press, just glanced at the cake on the stage. It was time for the mother to cut the cake. But she rubbed her head, claiming discomfort, and suggested they do it instead. Without another look, she had a servant help her upstairs. After seeing the mother off, Damien extended his hand to Anastasia. "Let's go cut the cake." But she shook her head, holding up her injured hand. The wound hadn't healed yet. He should find Lily instead. Surprise flickered in the man's eyes, as if he couldn't understand why she'd say that. It felt like something was slipping from his control. Why should he find her? Now it was Anastasia's turn to be puzzled. Why not her? He'd always left Anastasia behind to chase Lily these past 5 years, traveling abroad countless times for her. Now that Anastasia was giving him the chance, he acted incredulous. What was going on? She smiled slightly. "Because you two are close. It's just cutting a cake, no big deal." Seeing her smiling face, not looking angry at all, he still felt something off but said no more. He walked straight to Lily, leaned down, whispered a few words in her ear. Lily's face flushed, but she nodded, linking arms with him as they stepped onto the stage, holding hands to cut the cake together. In the melodious piano music, their intimate closeness looked less like a birthday cake and more like a wedding one. As the party went on halfway, older guests left early due to health reasons, leaving mostly the younger crowd. These young ones had grown up with Damien and knew all about his history with Lily. Seeing them like this now, applause erupted everywhere, and some even clapped and cheered for a kiss, kiss, kiss. The noise made Lily's face turn even redder. Damien's ears tinged pink too. He didn't kiss Lily, but didn't stop the crowd's teasing either. Anastasia didn't mind. She pulled out her phone, quietly calculating the time until her departure. With the flight in 3 hours, she needed to leave now. But her silent demeanor came across as sadness to everyone. Soon, a group of socialites led by Chloe Knight sneered and approached her. When Anastasia looked up, she was surrounded. Chloe smiled mockingly. "Anastasia, you've been married to my brother for years, but so what? You can only stand here watching him and Lily being affectionate. We told you long ago he likes Lily. Being with you was just to heal his emotional wounds. If you had any sense, you'd have left already. How can you still cling shamelessly?" Anastasia had to hurry back to pack her luggage and didn't want to deal with them. She turned to leave, but they grew bolder, pushing and shoving. Ugly duckling dreaming of becoming a swan? What a joke. If Lily hadn't gone abroad, do you think someone like you could sit in the Mrs. Sterling position? Know your place. If you're smart, step down voluntarily and get out of the Sterling family. They kept taunting and shoving. Are you mute? We're talking to you, do you hear? Seeing Anastasia stay silent, one hot-tempered girl lost it and shoved her hard backward. With a massive crash, Anastasia smashed into the towering champagne tower behind her. Glasses shattered everywhere, white wine mixing with red blood in a shocking sight. Suddenly, all eyes turned to her. On stage, Damien's pupils contracted sharply. He quickly released Lily's hand and strode over. Seeing Anastasia on the ground, covered in blood, his eyes filled with rage. He squatted down, scooped her into his arms, calling for his private doctor while glaring coldly at the crowd. Who did this? The group was terrified into silence. His face darkened to the extreme, about to speak again when a bodyguard rushed over. Vice President Lily suddenly said her stomach hurt badly. He needed to check on her right away. Damien didn't let go of Anastasia, just frowned slightly. Is it serious? The bodyguard looked urgent. Miss Lily was in so much pain she was crying. This time, Damien hesitated, glancing at Anastasia in his arms with a flash of indecision. Anastasia understood what he was about to say. She struggled up from his embrace, her expression calm. Yes, she knew. Lily had been pampered since childhood. Even a small injury made her cry all day, and he was used to taking care of her. Surprised that Anastasia anticipated his words, Damien's lips parted, but no sound came out. Anastasia staggered to her feet and continued. It's fine, go be with her. Doctor, check on her first. She could handle this herself. For some reason, seeing her so indifferent made him inexplicably panicked. Usually, she was this generous, but today, with such a serious injury, she brushed it off, her eyes no longer reflecting him. This wasn't like her. Before, her eyes were full of him. When had she changed like this? Damien was about to say more when Lily's pained cries echoed from afar. Finally, he stopped hesitating, just looked at Anastasia guiltily. He'd check on her later and make it up to her. With that, he left her without further delay, rushing away. Watching him anxiously scoop up Lily, cooing softly as he dashed outside, Anastasia's lips curled in a mocking smile. But to Chloe and the others, it looked like the sorrow of being abandoned. Humph, thought you'd get some pity from my brother? He still ditched you. Anastasia, if you have any self-awareness, leave the Sterling family yourself. Anastasia ignored them, borrowed an empty room from a servant, applied medicine herself, changed into fresh clothes, and limped away. Back at the villa, she went straight upstairs to pack her luggage. Carrying it down, she casually placed the signed divorce agreement with both names on the table. Just as she opened the door to leave, she came face to face with someone entering. Seeing Anastasia, Chloe immediately complained. Where have you been running off to? My brother asked me to bring you medicine. I don't know what he's thinking. Not staying with Lily but worrying about you, making me search everywhere. She didn't need it. Chloe should save it for Lily. Anastasia's face was calm. With that, she pushed past Chloe's hand to leave. Only then did Chloe notice the suitcase. Her expression changed drastically. She grabbed Anastasia's arm. What are you doing? Anastasia looked at her, eyes emotionless. Carrying a suitcase, what do you think? Obviously leaving. Your brother likes Lily. You've always wanted her as your sister-in-law. Now she's divorcing him voluntarily, stepping aside for her. Hearing this, Chloe's eyes widened in shock, as if frozen, unable to believe her ears. Everyone knew how much Anastasia loved Damien before. How could she just walk away now? As if realizing something, her voice trembled. Anastasia, stop pretending. You love my brother so much. You shamelessly forced your way into marriage. How could you initiate divorce now? I get it. You're playing hard to get, right? Tell you what, that won't work on him. Anastasia's expression remained serene. Whether it's real or not, the divorce papers are on the table. Go check if it's fake. Chloe, you've been holding my hand. Don't tell me you're reluctant to see me go? At that, Chloe exploded, yanking her hand away. No way. I can't wait for you to leave right now. Once you're gone, I'll set off fireworks to celebrate. If my brother knows you left voluntarily, he'll be thrilled. For some reason, that last sentence lacked conviction. Anastasia didn't look at her anymore. Said congratulations on getting what they all wanted, then stepped out the door. Watching her unhesitating back, Chloe felt something spiral out of control for the first time, her heart panicking. She shouted anxiously after her. Anastasia, where are you really going? Won't you say goodbye to my brother? Anastasia paused slightly with her suitcase, turning back to look at Chloe and the villa behind her. For repayment, she'd pretended to love Damien for 5 years, becoming the shameless clinger in their mouths. For repayment, she'd abandoned her dreams, her future, herself. For 5 years, she'd strived to be the perfect wife, diligently managing the household, yet received no respect, no self-worth. Such a suffocating life for a full 5 years. Finally, she'd repaid the debt. Finally, freedom. Anastasia smiled genuinely, freely for the first time. She was off to live a life just for Anastasia. From now on, everything here had nothing to do with her. Goodbye, Chloe. Goodbye, Damien. With a liberating wave, she vanished into the moonlit night with her suitcase. 3 days later, Damien finally made time to return for a change of clothes. Entering, he habitually called Anastasia's name, but after several calls, only servants came. Where was the madam? Watching the servants awkwardly help with his coat, he frowned. The servants stammered for a while before saying the madam wasn't home. Not home again. Last time, after he'd held Lily scalded by hot pot and gone to the hospital, Anastasia had quietly gone off sketching for days. This time, after he'd taken Lily to the hospital first, and she'd generously said she could go herself. Now she was throwing a tantrum and running away. Irritation gradually turned to unclear anger. Damien walked to the sofa and spotted the file on the table at a glance. Normally, he'd ignore it, but today something compelled him to pick it up. Divorce agreement in bold letters hit his eyes, and at the bottom, under husband's signature, his name was clearly there. In an instant, his face turned extremely cold, the light in his eyes vanishing, leaving only endless chill and depth. He touched his signature. It wasn't printed or imitated. It was genuinely his handwriting. But in his memory, he'd never signed a divorce agreement. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed. He recalled that morning at the Western restaurant. She'd handed him something to sign. Busy chatting with Lily, he hadn't noticed. Now it seemed that was the divorce agreement. The paper crumpled in his grip. Then he tore it to shreds, scattering everywhere. Anastasia divorcing him? That was the biggest joke in the world. She loved him so much she could jump into the sea for him. He'd left her so many times, and she'd never gotten angry. Probably just jealous because he'd been busy with Lily lately. 5 years could make her jealous too. Anyway, she'd come back on her own. If not, no, she would. Damien was certain. After all, no one in the world loved him like Anastasia did. In the following days, the villa servants tacitly avoided mentioning Anastasia. Until this day, when Damien brought Lily back from the hospital. Facing the mediocre-tasting porridge, Chloe tossed her spoon down, yelling, "Who made this? Where was Anastasia? Make her redo it for us." The servant beside hesitated. "Miss, the madam hasn't returned these days." Chloe's eyes widened instantly. Anastasia hadn't come back? She'd thought the divorce talk was just a bluff. Their family was the only high society Anastasia could climb. Anyone would cling tightly. Recalling the divorce papers she'd seen on the table that day, she looked up at Damien across from her. The servant said Damien had seen the divorce agreement upon returning, but hadn't taken it seriously, shredding it and tossing it in the trash. She bit her lip, glancing at Lily beside her, who was quietly sipping porridge, seemingly oblivious to their conversation. Her brother had longed for Lily for so many years, and now Lily seemed open to returning. Anastasia divorcing and exiting, by rights, he should be happy. Chloe turned back to Damien, his brows furrowed, seemingly displeased at Anastasia's prolonged absence. Thinking of Anastasia stirred more resentment in her. If she left, fine, but disturbing her brother's peace like this. After dinner, Lily was helped upstairs by servants to rest. Chloe watched Damien still sitting there and tentatively spoke. "Bro, when are you giving Lily a proper status? I've been hoping for her as sister-in-law for years." Damien snapped his head up at her. "What did you say?" Chloe, who had always been a bit afraid of her brother, shrank back but stubbornly continued. "Anastasia divorced you, and you don't like her. Why not be with Lily? How do you know about me and Anastasia divorcing?" She swallowed. "Last time you had me deliver medicine to Anastasia, I happened to see the divorce agreement. But back then, she'd thought it was just talk. Seeing Anastasia hadn't returned for so long, she had to believe it was real." After hearing her, Damien's face grew even darker. No need to think. Anastasia's left divorce agreement wasn't a tantrum, but genuine intent to divorce him. He slammed the coffee cup down. Anastasia loved him so much, yet she was divorcing him. He'd spoiled her too much these years. Besides, where could she go after leaving? Call the madam. Tell her to stop the tantrum and come back. The servant opened her mouth, looking troubled. "We'd called the madam before, but it didn't connect." Damien pulled out his phone, scrolled through contacts, realizing he hadn't saved her number. The assistant had called last time. Getting Anastasia's number from the servants, he dialed from his phone. But only a mechanical voice answered. "The number you dialed is not in service." Anastasia had canceled her number. The man stared at the dark screen, anger brewing in his eyes. He stood abruptly and stormed out, ignoring Chloe's shouts behind him. Only when driving, waiting at a red light, did he calm down. Where was he going to find Anastasia? Anastasia had lost her parents young and lived in an orphanage while sponsored by the Sterling family. Amid honking horns, he turned toward the orphanage. Facing the tall man, the dean cooled her expression for the first time. She had other teachers take the kids away first, then sat down. "Mr. Sterling, have a seat. What brings you here?" Damien didn't quibble over the distant attitude, just looked at her, wanting to ask if the dean knew where Anastasia had gone. He'd meant to say the house was a mess without her these days, but remembering who she was, he swallowed the words. Mockery flashed in the dean's eyes. Married 5 years, and Damien called her like that? Pity stirred in her, turning to relief. Relief that Anastasia had repaid the debt early and divorced him. Otherwise, a man like this wasn't worth a lifetime. The dean didn't even glance at Damien, starting her own work. "You've been married to her for 5 years and don't know where she went. How would I?" "Mr. Sterling, please leave." Returning empty-handed, Damien punched the steering wheel. He'd always thought Anastasia's divorce agreement was just a tantrum, but now with her number canceled and no one knowing her whereabouts, he had to admit she really wanted to divorce him. But his heart filled with unwillingness. Clearly, she'd loved him so much before. Why choose to leave so decisively? Just then his phone rang. Answering, his mother's weak voice came through. "Come back, son. Mom has something to tell you." The mother looked at him and sighed. "Now that you and Anastasia are divorced, and Lily's divorced and back, you and Lily." Damien quickly interrupted. "I didn't agree to divorce Anastasia." The mother widened her eyes in surprise, pulling a divorce certificate from the drawer. "But you've already gotten the divorce certificate. Didn't Anastasia tell you? She's mine. Every breath she takes belongs to me. You're mine, baby girl, and no one else can have you." But now, with the divorce certificate in hand, the mafia boss-like intensity in him boiled. This marriage of convenience had turned into obsessive love, and he wouldn't let her go.